Everyone, welcome to my channel, YouTube Utah, and my new podcast, From the Desert. This is episode 1, Beyond Big Water. Today I'm here with my guest, David Gossett. He's an AI enthusiast and a business consultant, but more than that, he is an avid hiker and a serious adventurer, now approaching 1,000 lifetime hikes. And he's here to share about what he's explored in southern Utah. So let's jump right into it, David. Welcome.
Absolutely, thanks.
Thanks a lot for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Are you kidding?
Yeah, you're one of the few lucky people on planet Earth. You live a laptop lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Right?
20 years.
I've seen your setup. It's much nicer than a laptop.
Sure.
But so you've done this for over 20 years.
Yeah, for 20 years.
What I'm really curious. We're going to talk a lot about Utah, but what were some of your favorite places you stayed with hiking trails before you came here to Big Water?
Oh, good Lord. Well, that could be a whole episode by itself. So you obviously got to go to Banff, and you got to go to Icefield Parkway in between Jasper and Lake Louise. That is just epic in that area.
Banff is Alaska, right?
Banff is Canada.
Oh,
so
Canada.
Banff, Canada,
okay.
right.
All right.
You can stay in Canmore, but Banff is the place. And Icefield Parkway you got to see. And then honestly, on the other side of the Rocky Mountains is Golden. And that's as quiet can be. And that hiking over there is absolutely epic. Their glacier, their Canadian Glacier National Park is up there. Beautiful.
Really?
Yeah, and Revelstoke is even crazy too.
I've heard of
waterfalls in Revelstoke.
Okay.
So that's just number one on the list, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then I love Alaska. Who doesn't love Alaska? But I love Alaska, and it's not just going up the big mountains. It's really doing a lot of stuff on the coastline. You know, all of that stuff is just absolutely beautiful. Glaciers everywhere. Really just a landscape I've never seen before.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I love Utah and Escalante and Torrey and Capitol Reef and Hanksville. That area, I've probably done over I may be pushing 3 years in that area.
Wow.
And then I'm probably 2 to 3 areas in Moab. I love Moab, but Moab is like, there's a trail on every corner in Moab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, what's also really interesting about you is you are a real AI enthusiast.
Oh yeah.
And you
Die
use it in your business and your consulting.
I use it for everything.
So
I use it how to spell words on Ask AI.
So I was gonna ask, how do you use it as it comes to planning your hikes and going on your adventures? How does AI help you there?
It doesn't, because I'm all off trail.
Okay.
So because I'm not going to any of the touristy places, I will tell you, that's a really good question, because I don't use AI. I really don't use any of that stuff. What I do is use Google Maps and CalTopo.
Okay.
Now the reason I use CalTopo, there's a lot of apps out there, but the reason I use CalTopo is because it has a 10-foot grid. It has a 10-foot topo. Because what happens is, if you look at a lot of these maps, you'll be like, oh my gosh, there's like 2 lines. That's going to be easy to get down in the middle of the desert. But when you go to CalTopo, it's like 10 lines. You know what I mean? And so there'll be a cliff there. You run into a lot of these cliff bands. But yeah, so I just simply, the way I plan every hike is I go into Google Maps and I go, that looks cool. Okay, where would I park? And then I start drawing lines in the middle of the desert.
And you're not seeing anybody else out there usually?
Oh, good Lord.
No. These are off the beaten path. These are not like regular touristed tours.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll literally be walking across the desert. Mm-hmm. It'll look like a scene out of a movie. You'll just be walking just straight across the desert.
What do you do for safety? You have like a sat phone or anything? Or?
Yeah, so this is a funny story too, but when my daughter graduated high school, she hiked with me all through her young years. And I said, what do you want for graduation? She said, I want you to buy a tracking device, because I'm going to go to college and you're going to be out there by yourself, and I want to be able to watch you at 2-minute intervals and be able to call if I need to get you help. And then, believe it or not, for graduation in college, she said, I want a second unit. We're going to actually, now that you're getting older, in case the batteries run out on the first unit, I want a second. So she literally tracks me like cargo.
Well, that's interesting.
Going across the ocean.
Yeah, I heard they've had this the supplemental insurance you can do out here for like $60 a year.
Yeah, I do all that.
It gets you 1 helicopter ride. So you fall, break your ankle.
Yes.
As long as you can call 911, they will come pick you up in a helicopter. And it was a $60 insurance policy. It would otherwise be like a $20,000 helicopter ride. So
I have all that coverage, and then I even have orange. I wear camel backpack.
Okay.
But I have put orange fabric on the back, stickers, so that if I fall in the desert, I know to fall face forward so they can see me.
Amazing.
Because they won't be able to pick me out when they're flying overhead unless they see that orange.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's intense.
I think if it were me, I'd probably just want to die. I don't want to be found 2 days later dehydrated.
Oh, yeah, no. Totally. And speaking of that, let me bring this up, because the cell service, this is you just asked me my favorite hiking places. Well, all my favorite hiking places have really crummy cell phone service, including Moab. When I get out into the back country of Moab. It doesn't have cell service either. The North Shore of Lake Powell has some of the most best. I'm sitting out there in the middle of the desert with 5G cell service.
Amazing.
And I couldn't figure out why, and I really found out that it was because of all those boats on Lake Powell and making emergency calls or needing that service or whatever. So I get to take advantage of stellar, and yet I'm in the middle of nowhere looking down on all the boats.
Yeah, it's amazing. We do have some pretty good phone service out here, even in the middle of nowhere.
I've never seen anything close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great. So let's talk about this list. You've got a pretty big list here.
Sure.
Number one is you did a canyon just south of Big Water.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go from west to east. So I'm not going from my favorite hike to my least favorite hike. I'm just going to kind of go right across the North Shore of Lake Powell.
And is this a nameless canyon?
Oh yeah.
So
get ready.
So you get to name it.
Yeah.
You're the first guy to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So basically, you will leave Big Water. And as soon as you hit the 65-mile-an-hour marker where you can go faster, start looking for a dirt road to the left-hand side going towards the lake, and it'll even be a U-shaped. And then you'll go back in there, and if you can get back there with an all-wheel drive, although I wouldn't drive all the way down to the wash. You may want to stay right on the top of the hill. It's only going to be 5 extra minutes of hiking, but if you get down that hill, you might not get back up unless you have a 4-wheel drive. But once you're down in that wash, that is just mind-blowing down there, right? So a lot of these hikes, I'm up top on the cliffs and I'm looking down and you can't get down there. The dry falls are just massive. You just can't find a way in to get down to the lake. So I've always wanted to see it from the bottom. Well, you can do that on this hike because you literally walk in to these canyons and they are absolutely geological wonders. They are just fabulous. Now what you can do is once you park at the top of the hill and you walk down, you're going to have a big, huge canyon right in front of you. And it's not going to be very interesting because it's so wide. It's like, oh, that feels deserty. You can also walk down the wash, and if you have little kids, they can take their shoes off and walk through the water. You know, there's water in there that you can walk down and stay right in that water. And then you'll see an opening about this big, and that's where you'll turn, and you'll go into this back canyon and weave around. Wow. And then you'll go into these huge back rooms, which are absolutely beautiful. And there's a butte back there that is massive. It is a massive butte, beautiful. Everything back there is gorgeous. But be sure when you make your forks, going in, there's only one way in and one way out. But when you get in there and you decide which room you want to go to, make sure you carrot it. Because once you get back in there, everything will look exactly the same. Now, if you want to make it interesting, you can go all the way around and you can come out that big fat area. You know, that's really nice too. So you can make it a loop and you'll be right at your vehicle. And then there are these so if you do make the loop and go to the back, which is kind of the north side of the butte, then you'll be back against the cliffs and they are opened up in slivers. They're little tiny slots back there. And so you can go back and explore all that.
So you do a lot of cairns on just for safety?
Yeah. I carry pink tape.
Wow.
Yeah.
For everyone watching, that's CAIRN, Karen, which is a stack of rocks. Not a Karen, the woman with the haircut who wants to talk to the manager when she's angry.
Yeah. And you can knock them down. Knock them down on the way back if you feel that's important.
Oh, sure, some people like to do that.
But believe me, you will want that Karen because
you'll
get lost.
They're there for a reason. You probably shouldn't knock it down. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And don't get me wrong, I never see a Karen.
Yeah.
The only Karens I ever see are the Karens I am. Because, again, you'll turn around and you'll be like, I just went past 3 left and right forks, and I don't remember which one takes me home.
That's funny. A Karen lady who knocks over your Karens.
Yeah.
But some people don't like stacking the rocks for some odd reason. I mean, I bet it's Mother Nature. It's there for your use. It's like you're picking sticks to make a campfire.
Yeah.
Are you not allowed? Should you not pick sticks to make a campfire?
Yeah.
Is stacking rocks such a wrong thing to do?
Absolutely. But this is a great hike for little kids. You can take an elementary school kid out there.
Yeah.
It's absolutely perfect. There's no elevation gain. The rocks are just fantastic to play and climb on. Any sort of kid, walking in the water, it's a very easy day, and you'll have your car very close to the hike.
I'm kind of wondering, before we get to the next one, how many miles away from here is this unnamed canyon?
I'm not good with mileage.
Okay.
But
you need a Jeep and you off-road, definitely off-road.
Well, so you go down 89, and then just park at the top of the hill. So you're going to get to this hill where it's actually going to start going down into the wash, and it's going to be orange sand. And you're going to be sitting there with your all-wheel drive SUV, and you're going to say, I wonder if we can get back up this. Well, you don't need to fret the whole day. That you don't want that in the back of your mind. So just park at the top of the hill because you're only going to save 5 minutes of walking down the hill and getting into the wash. And then once you're in that wash, by the way, that wash goes all the way to Lake Powell. A long time ago, that was all Lake Powell when it was full. So the way the rocks are carved, it looks like a seabed.
Interesting.
It's just some of these things just look like somebody melted ice cream back there.
Right.
It is crazy cool, but it's a great one for kids. It's not the first one I would recommend.
Yeah.
Because there's really cool ones above Lake Powell.
Yeah.
But by the time you do your third or fourth, you're going to go, I wish I could get down there and look from the below. And this is the hike to do it on.
Number 2, you went west of Wiregrass. Tell us about Wiregrass.
So Wiregrass is really the only designated trail that most people will see in their maps. And so of course I haven't done Wiregrass because it's a designated trail. It's got a nice parking lot, it's got a nice sign and everything else. Exactly.
Too groomed.
Exactly, but just to the west of Wiregrass are, again, cliffs. Everything's a promontory. If you look at the Google Maps, you've got promontory, inlet, promontory, inlet, promontory, inlet. It's just crazy what it is up there. So in between 89, you get to the first cliffs. You're going to be in there in the first hike where you go, well, look up there. I wish I could be up there. Boom, this is that hike. Well, you literally go, 10 minutes down that dirt road, and you just park anywhere. And you can walk out onto all these different baby promontories. And what's great about it is once you walk, you'll say, oh, I'm going to go to that promontory for this hike. And you're going to have big water. You're going to see Page. You're going to see big water. You're going to see everything that you did on the first hike. All the buttes, all the rocks and the shapes from the seabed type of thing. And then you can actually walk along the edge. And you can walk around these big slots, and then you can walk to another view that looks to the east. So that's not just a one and done. Just go out there, pick a place that you want to walk out to, east of Wiregrass, or west of Wiregrass, or west of Wiregrass. But once you pick that spot, don't think, okay, we're done, because the whole view is going to look the same. No. Go 10 minutes that way.
Yeah.
Go 15 minutes that way, and the view will change.
Now you mentioned some steep cliff edges. Have you had any close calls where you're like started slipping and sliding a little bit, and you were like,
No. The nice thing about these cliffs is one, they're not sandy or gravelly, so it's really good rock.
Good
on the
sandstone.
Edge.
You can
It's really good. In fact, I did this hike in the rain, so it was raining on me the whole time, and I had no problem out there, even with the slick rock. But I will tell you, as I've gotten older, I get vertigo. So I do notice when I get a little bit close. Now, the one thing that I'm glad you brought that up, because there's one thing that you really need to be careful of with kids, and that is before you go out to a point and take a picture, get at an angle. Have one of you go and look at an angle and look up underneath that rock that they're going to stand on.
Oh, yeah.
Because if it has no bottom, that rock could be ready to fall.
Yep.
So that's one thing I do is before I set up where I want to take a picture of myself, I go peek and say, oh yeah, that's solid rock straight down.
Poison rocks, we call them.
Oh, good. Yeah. Nice. And of course, never go over a crack.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to go over a crack because that whole rock could be loose.
So you told us about west of Wiregrass. How about east of Wiregrass?
So east of Wiregrass is absolutely fantastic. It is just, again, this is the middle of nowhere. You're never going to see a dotted line on any app on the internet. But basically past Wiregrass, you'll get into more promontories. And you'll get into one very distinct one. And again, you might want to do Cane Point, you might want to do Alstrom Point, etc., because you get to see blue water right underneath your feet above the cliffs. But you just can't imagine how beautiful the rock shapes are. It is just crazy beautiful. But this one, when you go to the east of Wiregrass, you just park randomly on the Smoky Road, and you start walking out to the furthest point. And that furthest point, you'll see the lake, and it's absolutely epically beautiful. And not only is it beautiful, but even when you get out to the point, you have this massive rock in front of you. It's just like, there's this dip that you can't get across. And then what I suggest is that you actually walk to the east. So don't just go straight out and straight back to the car.
Okay.
Instead, go straight out, get your pretty view out at the point. But then when you're coming back, go east, because there's a huge canyon. And it doesn't look big on the map, but it is massive back there. It's like a mini Grand Canyon. And so if you can kind of go around the corner, you'll actually be able to look north, not even at the lake, and see this entire massive canyon back there.
Incredible.
And it's absolutely beautiful.
Great. We got some pictures of that as well right now.
Yeah.
So number 4, I know this one pretty well because I've been down in Crosby Canyon quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen Castle Rock
Yeah.
from the lake, but it sounds like you went in a back way where you were on the north shore of the Wawit Bay, or?
Yeah, so you go down to Crosby, and SUV all-wheel can probably make it just to where the sand is.
Okay.
So you'll be tight, and just when it really opens up, just keep an eye out, and if you start to see a lot of deep sand, you might just want to park and walk the rest of the way.
Oh, yeah.
But if you have a four-wheel drive, you can drive all the way to the beach. In fact, I camped on the beach just a few weeks ago. It was beautiful. And here's the funny story about Crosby. I had that whole beach to myself. So you look on the south side, and it's just nothing but people and nothing but cars.
Right.
And I'm all by myself. Every time I go to Crosby, no matter what day of the week it is, no matter what it is, I'm all by myself.
Were you camping close to the window in the rock? Is that kind of by there?
The Wally window? No. So that would be over that would be up and over.
Okay.
This was literally right on inside Crosby Canyon. So when
nice.
the dirt roads kind of go to the beach.
Yep.
And it's funny because when I camped, I said I should park the Jeep pretty close to my tent because what if somebody's coming out here at 9 or 10? They may not see my Jeep. And there wasn't a soul.
Nice.
Not a soul came out there. I had that whole beach to myself. Photography is absolutely epic. So that's already good enough. Just take the kids to the beach and let them play.
Did you see any wildlife like bobcats back there?
No.
The couple times I've been into Crosby, I occasionally see a bobcat.
Sweet.
Bouncing around.
Wow, that's huge. Yeah, I see rabbits that are the size of dogs. But that's about it.
Big rabbits.
Well, what you go down, so you can do Crosby Beach, really great, camp, do whatever you want to there, play with the kids in the water. But then Castle Rock is going to be a very big rock right in front of you. And you can actually hike around Castle. The lake is deep enough to where you can hike around. It's so deep that they've cut a trench to allow boats to get through there.
The Castle Cut.
Yeah, exactly. And it was empty. It was actually empty when I went. So not only that, you could go through the Castle Cut when it's empty, and you can keep going and get really close to Page, you know, as you walk out there.
Yeah.
But going around Castle Rock is really great. But I'll tell you, here's the secret hike. So when you're driving down to Crosby Canyon and you've got the beach here on your left and you got Castle Rock right in front of you, you're going to see another group of rocks a little bit to the right, and then you're going to see the massive cliffs, the promontory, right, that we just hiked in the previous hike. You're going to see that promontory jutting way out. What you want to do is you want to hike directly to the point of that promontory. So you go straight for that massive cliff edge. And when you get there, you will be in these rocks that are rounded and just all these shapes, and they go up and they go down, and there's little caves. There's everything back in there because it's all been carved by Lake Powell.
Some hoodoos too, I would imagine.
I haven't really seen hoodoos on Crosby, but that so I'll tell you what, I'd certainly put that above Castle Rock. Castle Rock's beautiful. I mean, Castle Rock's iconic, but I'd still rather go to that cliff on the right. And then the beauty is there will be a way that you can get down to the wash, and you can walk right out to the lake edge.
Oh, nice.
And if you want to go to Wall Weep Window, just keep walking. Just walk around the corner and go check out Wall Weep Window and come back the same way.
Yeah, last time I was in Crosby Canyon, I was with a rock hound, and she likes to just cut them open on her wet saw and stuff.
Sure.
And we found some moki stones. Those little weird shaped balls.
Sweet.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, so Crosby I can't recommend high enough.
Yeah, and
it's fantastic.
And it's easy to find.
Yeah, and I've done 3 hikes there.
Almost might be too touristy for you, but maybe not too touristy.
Boy, I'll tell you, I don't see anybody out there.
No, it's not.
You know, there'll be boats. The boats will sometimes dock back in those coves and stuff. But other than that, I was all alone. And certainly, when you're going to walk around Castle Rock and you're going to walk to the right, you're not going to see a single soul.
Cool.
That's straight across the desert. And by the way, it's all lake bed. When you're walking, you're like, wow, this is a really interesting plants and really interesting sticks and really interesting this and that.
Yep.
No, that's the lake bed.
Yep.
The lake is just low.
It is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So next one is it's kind of famous, but only serious adventurers go out there. Let's talk about Alstrom Point.
Yeah, Alstrom Point is the iconic Lake Powell. So I'll be out there and people will stop me. So I pull over, to let them by, and they'll stop. And they'll ask me, and I always just say, go to Alstrom Point, right? If you're only going to be a tourist and you only got a day or two, go to Alstrom Point. You got to go to Alstrom Point. It is really iconic. So to get to Alstrom Point, you'll just go down the main road, and you'll see a big, huge sign that says Alstrom Point 5 miles. Now you'll be able to take an SUV all-wheel drive almost the whole way until you get to what you think is the final view. It's not. But you think all of a sudden you'll be looking at cliffs and you'll be looking at all this incredible geology. You can park there if you have an SUV and just walk the hook and walk out to Alstrom Point. But I did that like at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I got really great sunrise and nighttime shots out there. Nice. It was really pretty. Now that is crowded. There's a Jeep every other corner camping. But I will tell you, not only do you want to do Alstrom Point and take those shots going to the east, which are absolutely beautiful, especially in the morning, but there's another point to that juts out. And I will tell you, that's just as beautiful. Like, whoever did the trail must have flipped a coin and said, well, all right, we'll go with this one, the hook. Right. And that'll be the iconic view. But honestly, I think the iconic view just continuing straight is almost as good. And and by the way, you can see to the west in that case and see Page and the marina and everything else.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of really good views.
You are really roughing it though. So I mean, all these trails you're mentioning, it's like bring your own water. There might be a campfire pit already laid out for you, but that's it. There's no latrines, there's no water fountains.
Do you bring wood? I don't know.
Sure, yeah, probably bring your own.
Yeah, because there's nothing out. It's the desert.
You could have to rummage for if you're lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got to bring plenty of water depending on the time of year.
Well, you might find a little dried driftwood on some of these other hikes you mentioned, where you're kind of by the lake basin that's dried up, like the backside of like Warm Creek Bay. You might find some driftwood. Yeah. How about Cane Point?
Okay, so Cane Point goes way out into the middle of Lake Powell. So this is a promontory that's about this wide. I mean, it is narrow, right? Now it's still fine. You can take kids out there. I'm exaggerating.
You don't mean literally like a foot.
No.
Okay.
What I shouldn't have said that. But let's put it this way: for promontories on Lake Powell, this thing is thin.
Okay.
Right? This is the thinnest promontory out on Lake Powell.
Oh wow!
And it is epically beautiful. So you park back there, and again, you can take an SUV, definitely all-wheel drive, all the way back there. These roads here are fantastic. I can't get over how graded these roads are. But anyway, you would just park in a random place, where you're close to where you'd walk out to Cane Point. And the only thing you want to do in some of these desert hikes is you want to try to avoid the trenches. So when you look, again, this is why I do Cal Topo, because you'll just see a couple lines and you think, oh, that's just a nice rolling down. No. You'll come to a cliff and it'll just go down and it'll go up. And sometimes you have to walk along that and never enter down into one of these trenches until you know how you're going to get back up.
Wow.
Right? So you want to
plan ahead.
Yeah, walk around and go, okay, I know I can get down here. Yeah, I think if I get down here, I can get up there.
Right.
But you can also just plan it with Cal Topo to where you can avoid that. So you will go in a way to where you avoid all that up and down and up and down. Then you'll get out there, and you'll see your view to the right, which is absolutely beautiful. That's an inlet that comes back, which is the first in view.
Okay.
And then you'll be out going on this really nice promontory, and you'll walk 5 minutes and get pictures to the west. And then you'll be like, oh, I want to go back and take more pictures to the east. Then you'll be like, I want to go back and take more pictures to the west. And then I want to take... So you will think that is the end of the hike because you get glorious views way out in the middle of the lake to the west and the east. Well, no, you keep going. So you go all the way to the end point.
Wow. And
basically, you're right on top of the boats.
Which part of the lake is this overlooking? Is it like
this is... I'm not sure what the bay or whatever it would be called. But it's well marked in that it's Cane Point. So when we were talking at the very beginning, and I said, oh, you might want to not do this hike down 89 first, right? Because it's not the most glorious hike. Cane Point is one of the ones I would do first.
Okay.
I would go out to Cane Point, probably number one. I certainly had hit Allstrom Point, but you could just hit that on the way back from one of these other hikes. And then I would probably do east of Wiregrass as a second hike. Yeah, because that's just beautiful. Because you get the view going back into the canyon. Magical.
Nice. Well, let's talk about another one. Not to be confused with Crosby Canyon. Tell us about Croton Canyon.
Yeah, so Croton Canyon is where the lake goes way north, right? So the lake has got all these fingers and inlets and everything else.
Over 96 canyons.
Oh, very good.
Okay,
lake, excellent. Yeah. So the beauty is that the road gets very close.
I'm sorry, exactly 96 canyons.
Yeah. So the road gets super close to the lake in only one spot. And that's Croton Canyon.
Oh, okay.
Right? And so that's a very, very easy hike. But what you can do is you can park back there right where you think the end of the lake is. Just park anywhere back in there. And then you will walk out to the very point, the very back end of Croton, and look out over all those fingers, all those little promontories going all the way.
Nice.
It is absolutely stunning back there. And again, a kid can do that. A little kid can do that because it's flat as a pancake going to Croton.
You said the road gets close to the water's edge, but like on a cliff kind of?
No.
Just
you can't even see the water.
Oh, okay.
But it's the closest.
Oh, okay.
You basically get to Lake Powell.
Oh, okay.
And that way you only have like half a mile or whatever it may be, maybe a mile.
I was going to say if it's low, then it's not what I'm thinking, but there was a front page news article about a year ago when the water level dropped really low, like 20 feet above dead pool.
Yeah.
They found a car with a body inside it.
Oh, sure.
Someone crashed. And I thought, well, if maybe it was there because if the road is that close to the water, maybe they went over. But sounds like it was a different area.
Absolutely.
Cool. So that's Croton Canyon.
That's Croton Canyon. And we're still going west to east.
Yep. So how about Grand Bench?
So Grand Bench is really rough. I'm not going to lie. Grand Bench is really rough out there. So you will not only need a four-wheel drive, but you will need a lift kit. And you might even need lockers going up out of, you go down and up before you get out onto Grand Bench. But I was in second gear low, 4 low, second gear. I can't remember the last time I was in first and second gear or 4 low. I mean, that's going 1-2 miles an hour. I may as well get out and walk. But it is really rocky back there. Now, they'll rate it, a lot of them will rate it as a 4. And that's fine. I'll give you a 4 out of 10 for up on Grand Bench, of course, and even some of the places where you're just coming off of Grand Bench. But when you go through that really deep canyon, that thing has eroded beyond belief. Now, maybe they'll go back there and do some road work, but there'll be huge ruts in there that you'll need a 4-wheel drive. And then you literally come up where they've cut between 2 cliff walls, and you just go right up. You just go up shelves in order to get to the top.
Wild.
Yeah. You want to be real careful, and that's 4 low 1. I mean, that's really slow.
Yeah.
So that is so you obviously have to camp out there. You need all day. It's 3 hours out. It's over 3 hours to drive there, and it's over 3 hours to drive back.
Are you also dealing with independent suspension on your vehicle?
You can lock it. You
lock it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, you just need to be a 4-wheeler, or you know what, grab one of these Polarises and take it out there, right? So the only thing I think I would see out there are Polarises. In fact, there's a parking lot right at the ranch, the old, the 1800s ranch, where they have parking, and I think a lot of people will park and take their ATVs, and then they'll take it the rest of the way out. They'll take it all through the canyon and then up onto Grand Bench. So I will tell you that is not for the faint of heart driving. But once you get out on Grand Bench, it's just like the highlight of all highlights. I mean, Grand Bench is grand. And so you'll go all the way out to the end, and you feel like you never get there. I mean, you just drive across the desert forever. You're like, this is supposed to be like, I'm supposed to see water at some point. You won't see it to the left, you won't see it to the right because it's so big.
Right.
But you'll go all the way out to the very end of it, and you will be the only person for hours, right? I mean, you won't see anybody out there, and you literally drive to the edge and then stop the vehicle and put the tent right there. And the beauty of Grand Bench is that all of the rock features, it's almost like you take every rock feature of Lake Powell that you can see at Kane, and then you can see a little bit here, and you can see a little bit of Crosby, Castle Rock, and everything else. They're all just lined up on Grand Bench. It's just one cool thing. It's left to right, cool.
Yeah.
And then you could walk another 30 minutes, and you get cool.
Yeah.
So Grand Bench is really fantastic.
You don't get that, like, I might be lost feeling while you're out there?
No, because there's really only one road. There's only one road out and one road back, and you really can't miss it.
Cool.
But when I tell you go slow, I mean, I 4-wheel in Moab, I 4-wheel in Colorado, and I can't remember the last time I spent so much time in first and second gear on 4 low. I mean, that is slow. That's too slow for me. You're really crawling.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and get ready to be jostled about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. We have a few extra places on here. I'd really like to ask you about Chimney Rock, and then one that a lot of my guests ask about is the Wahweap Hoodoos.
Yeah.
So talking about hoodoos, a lot of my guests with Airbnb, they'll come out here and they'll want to do the easy one, which is toadstool hoodoos.
Sure.
A lot of bang for your buck, short hike, get to see a lot of cool stuff. But then there's also the Wahweap hoodoos, which you've done.
Yes.
And the toadstool, that's too touristy for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I've been there a million times, but I have yet to get to Wahweap.
No way.
Yeah, I know. So tell me about Wahweap.
Well,
what I'm missing.
It's literally in your backyard. We can almost see it from here. I mean, it's 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away. Very easy road. And the idea is you park back there and then you walk up a wash. So that's the nice part, is you can turn off your brain. Some of these hikes you really have to keep your brain on, right? And check your phone because, you got to make sure you're going in the right way. It's all pure desert. But there, just walk right up the wash, even as it curves, and you'll run right into the hoodoos.
You don't need a 4-wheel drive to get to the parking area?
No, you can probably take a passenger car at least to before the water.
Okay.
And then a lot of the passenger cars, and maybe even some of the SUV all-wheels, will park on this side, and then the 4-wheels will go through the water. But to be honest with you, that's only about 40 feet.
1 extra mile to walk? Oh, 40 feet.
No, yeah, it's just like parking is, you'll see the cars on both sides of the water. Yeah, so it's very easy. But once you start in there, you'll just walk up that wash. And it's a little bit boring just to walk the wash because it's really wide open. But as you turn a corner, all of a sudden you'll see this massive hoodoo. And I mean, you'll think the hike is over. You'll go, okay, this was worth it. And I'm looking at one hoodoo, right? Now, the interesting part about the Wahweap hoodoos is that you have really 3 hoodoo areas, or 2 rooms plus that first one that I'm talking about. And in that first one that's really massive and huge, and don't get me wrong, there's hoodoos everywhere, but there's one big prominent one that comes right to the drainage. You can actually go up on the side of the drainage, and you can go back in there, and you can walk amongst those hoodoos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it might be a little hard if you're actually still in the drainage and you get right to where you can almost put your hand on the big one. You'd be like, I don't really see a safe way to go up this way. But if you come back the drainage, you'll be able to go up and walk and go back in there, and it's really
even
pretty.
more.
Oh,
Yeah,
and there's more, yeah.
People don't realize that with Toadstool too. They get to the main one, and there's a couple around it, but then if they go around the corner, there's even more hiding back there.
Absolutely. So then, once you're at the big one, you're going to be like, okay, where's the first room?
Yeah.
Now, you can go back out to the wash and just walk the wash if you want to, and do the second room and then the first room. But really, the trail between that first massive hoodoo and the first room is really tight. You get right along the rock, and you'll see a trail, but you're literally in a canopy of trees, and you're kind of making your way through there.
Nice.
So some people will like that, but some people will be like, I don't want to really deal with that. So just go back into the drainage and do room 2, which is right off the drainage, and then do room 1, and then come back out up there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So something we were talking about off camera, which we should talk about now, is why is Big Water not as popular as like Page, right? Like obviously Antelope Canyon's really put them on the map. Antelope Canyon's not bad, but we know it's overpriced.
Oh,
It's a short tour.
Oh, absolutely.
And out here you've got the other option, which is Buckskin Gulch, which is a killer deal for the money.
Yeah.
Plus all the hikes you're mentioning, like you turn 3 degrees, there's another one. There's another one. So yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get why Page. My guess is the reason that Page got to be bigger than Big Water is because that's where 98 and 89 meet. And of course, 98 comes in from Monument Valley, it comes in from Colorado, it comes in from Moab, and all points to the east. And then of course, 89 is your straight shot from Bryce down to Zion and into the Grand Canyon. And that intersection, they got a Walmart right on that intersection, which is absolutely fantastic. But other than that whole everything 3/4 of Page is locked off by Navajo Nation. So you literally cannot hike anywhere along the south of the lake. You can't do anything down there without permission, and everything's guided, and everything costs a fortune.
Right?
I don't even know if you can get a permit to go on your own. I think you have to take somebody from the reservation with you.
Were you telling me like the permit price went up 5 times since you last checked or something?
Yeah, so back in the day, Antelope was the one that they charged money for, but the other ones you could actually just pay them and then make sure you had the permit on you.
Like Navajo Mountain.
Navajo Mountain you can't do anything
Can't
on.
even do
That's
that.
sacred.
Yeah.
But anyway, now even the other ones that people were going to avoid the cost of Antelope, they're all locked down and they're all now guided.
Yeah, like Waterhole would be a good site.
Everything, and they're more expensive than Antelope.
That's funny.
Yeah, absolutely. So the problem is so I haven't done a single hike in Page. I'll never do a single hike in Page. Right? That's not what why would I go down there? Because it's all locked by the Navajo Nation. And then when you go across 89, the whole eastern side of the Grand Canyon is Navajo Nation. So I can't even visit the east side of the Grand Canyon, because that's all locked down too. So literally, you either have to go straight down to Flagstaff or go to one of the rims of the Grand Canyon. That's
I wonder what are the chances though that a Navajo Ranger is going to pull up on you and say, "Sorry, I got to find you," or
100%.
Pretty good chance.
Oh, 100%.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I've done the south rim of Grand Canyon and the Indian reservation over there. And yeah, no matter where you are, they'll find you, and it's all cash. Over there, it's like it's $20. It was at the time. So yeah, so they're really, I think they watch that stuff very carefully.
And the funny thing is, why does someone need to do that when there's so much else to do? Like there's so much, NPS area and Bureau of Land Management area to explore.
Oh yeah, this is totally wide open up here. So on the south side of the lake, the little part that has the marina and the beaches, that's just going to be wall-to-wall cars, right? You're just you're going to feel like you're sitting on a California beach. Yeah. But on the north side, you will be absolutely by yourself.
Oh yeah.
Like we said, we already talked about Crosby. You'll have your own private beach out there. So literally, Big Water is the center of everything. Page is the south side of everything, right? And Grand Canyon's not that close. So, Page is a little bit far from Grand Canyon to call that in the vicinity. Yeah. But Big Water literally has hikes going out towards North Lake Powell. It's got hikes going out the other side, right outside of Big Water to Pariah and Vermilion Cliffs. It's got the north and northwest with Church Wells, Chimney Rock, the Waweep right in town, and then you've got Buckskin up there. So I literally can look at a Google map and I can find a hike in any degree around this place.
That's so awesome.
There's just nothing I can't do in this area.
And
it's all BLM.
And we've only been talking about like the dry stuff, like dry activities, like hiking and ATVs.
Oh, sure.
And I'm also about 5 minutes from Lone Rock Beach.
Sure.
So yes, it can be crowded in the on season, but there's still kayaking, paddleboarding, snorkeling, volleyball. There's quite a bit to do. People don't realize.
Oh yeah, I barely scratched the surface. I could come back for 10 years and not hit all the things I want to hit.
Or if someone
and I don't even do the water.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I was going to say if you come with some friends and you want to like share the cost of a boat rental for a day, you've got 96 canyons on the lake. You can't even see them all. You can see maybe 3 or 4 canyons in one day if you do a full day. Or like or maybe you drive really far and you try to get to a place like Cathedral Canyon.
Sure.
With like the really cool rocks like in the background.
Absolutely. And they go at night.
Or maybe Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Like if you're going to rent a boat, you probably want to try to get to Rainbow Bridge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I can be camping out on Grand Bench and I can see the boats even at night.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's really lovely down there. And then I said at Crosby, you'll see boats that will actually just pull up, off to the rocks because they think it's so beautiful. And I'm like, and I got there with a Jeep. So so it's really I've really never understood why Page and Big Water aren't reversed, and then I don't understand why Big Water's not the size of Moab.
We're growing.
This is like an adventurous paradise out here.
Well, this podcast is also helping put Big Water on the map, so hopefully you can share this out with your hiking friends and other adventure enthusiasts.
Just look at the photos.
Yeah.
Right. Don't listen to me. Look at the photos.
These are some gorgeous photos, some pano shots that you have on here. Like we're gonna have to strafe across to get the whole pano.
Absolutely. In there. Yeah. But Waweep is absolutely beautiful. And what I wanted to mention is when you go back to those 2 back rooms, be sure you walk amongst the hoodoos. Right, so it won't look like there's a way, but there are trails back where you literally are snaking in the hoodoos. Amazing. But a lot of people will look at it like they look at the Grand Canyon. They go to the rim and go, beautiful, isn't this great? Take a picture and we leave. But here you can look at the hoodoos, but you can actually put hands on every single hoodoo.
That's cool.
It's incredible, the access.
So we went over the list of the hikes that you have done. What is still on your to-do list for this area?
Well, I've done Church Wells and Chimney Rock, if you want to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, the Chimney Rock.
So I said, it's an off day. It's a quiet day. I think I'll pop up north. I literally have not taken a right-hand. I've taken one right-hand turn out of Big Water, and that was to go to the town right above you guys. And that's where Chimney Rock is. And I said, this is more for exercise. This isn't going to be anything spectacular. Maybe I'll take a few pictures. I couldn't have been more wrong. Church Wells and then going back to Chimney Rock was absolutely gorgeous. And I'll tell you what it is. The Waweep hoodoos are on one side of this bench, right? And you think, well, that's it. That must be all the hoodoos. That must be all the rocks and everything else. No. As soon as you go across that little bench, there's a whole nother set of rooms over there.
Amazing.
And they've got tall hoodoos. They've got everything you could ever want back there and completely empty. So out of Church Wells going to Chimney Rock, there's a loop. And you can do the loop if you want to, but you must go back into the slots that are almost cave-like. So you will go to a place and it'll be completely black, and you'll be like, I don't know if I can get back in here. You'll be crawling, but crawl back in there, and you will see. And it's all I've been in a lot of slot canyons.
Any wild animals in these caves?
Oh no, I never seen
no bobcats
like
or
nothing. Oh no. But this is the whitest rock, and it almost looks like snow. Like you're stepping on snow, but it's hard. It's hard as a rock. But it literally looks like somebody just melted the ice cream and it drizzled down the sides of the slot canyon.
Nice.
So, and there are all these different slots back in there, and then you can make your way up to the top. You get this absolutely grand view of all that room, all the rooms back there and all that rock.
Nice.
Yeah, it's funny. I was like, it's Chimney Rock out of Church Wells, and I would actually put that probably in the top 25% of my list. That's how crazy cool it is back there.
So is there is a rock itself that is like vertical, look like a chimney?
So, that's funny. That's on the bench.
Okay.
So that's funny. That's the one that's up top. And people will go up there, but what you really want to do is stay low and sneak into this room and sneak into this room and go to that hoodoo and go up to this ledge, etc. And it will absolutely, and it's great for kids. That's another one that's just flat as a pancake, super easy walk. Especially in the summer because you go in early and because it's tight, you won't get sun. So I was literally in a jacket until I got to the back rooms and finally saw sun for the first time. So that's really nice, absolutely. And then Smoky Mountain is insane. Okay, so what basically you have is you have the lake here, then you have the first set of cliffs, and then you have a second set of cliffs. Well, there's a road to the highest cliffs above Lake Powell.
Yep.
Right? And so you can go up that road and you're going to, I think I saw once a Subaru up there. But The problem is you can go up that road, up those cliffs. You're literally going to be ready to go up, and you're like, there's no way we're getting up there. I don't even see where they could put a road. It is straight down. But believe it or not, they carved a road in there. And the road is in excellent condition. Once again, that's another road they grade all the way to Escalante.
Wow.
But, you know, the only thing is if I were in an all-wheel drive SUV, I would need to be able to pull over if somebody's coming down. You know, you need to be able to get 2 vehicles through there. So you just have to decide if you're willing to take an all-wheel drive SUV up there, or you would go with a 4-wheel. But the beauty is that once you get on top, even before you get on top of the butte, there are hikes out to points that overlook those cliffs that are absolutely fantastic. So when you look at the map, you'll see that massive butte up there, right? But then you'll see these huge points that come way out, and you'll say, there's no way to get out there. It's impossible. It's cliff, 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 cliff. Well, guess what? There's one way. And so as you're weaving your way back in that road, once you go up the cliff and you're weaving your way back to get onto the very top, you will see a point where you can park and you can hike up and get on top of that thing and walk out. And then, you know, you're on double cliffs. You're overlooking the cliffs of Lake Powell that overlook Lake Powell.
Nice.
I mean, you can basically see
That's
100 miles
incredible.
away. It is incredible.
Wow.
And then, of course, once you're up on top of, you know, when you're finally up there on that plateau, so to speak, there are bunches of left and rights that are really good roads that give you these spectacular views. And then you've got the vents up there, which may not be smoking right now. You know, the coal vents.
Yeah. Have you seen a few of those actively smoking?
Oh, sure. I've been there multiple times. Nice. So one of the times I went, it was really smoking. But I don't know what's going on with it now. You can definitely smell the sulfur of the coal burning. But you can't see the smoke at this point, so I don't know what's going on up there.
There's I've never seen one of those in person. There's no risk of stepping and falling in, is there?
No, they're tight. They're pretty tight. Yeah, you can go right up to the edge. And you'll see burned trees and stuff, so you'll know where to go because of burn marks and stuff.
So the idea is lightning struck there a long time ago or something?
I guess there's a coal seam or something, and somehow it could have been a kid who just dropped a match down there. I don't know. But supposedly it's been burning for a really, really long
years,
time.
Yeah.
But anywhere up there, you know, you don't realize it, but you think it's a straight cliff. Because when you look at those upper cliffs, you go, oh yeah, that's just one big old cliff. No. Massive rooms in the back. So even when you get up on top, drive another 15 or 20 minutes and take a left or a right.
Amazing.
And you will see views that will blow your mind. You'll be like, this is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. You'll be looking towards height.
Yeah.
At that point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's different. And the mountains change on each side. One's very red and one's very gray and white.
You're making me want to trade in my car for an SUV or a Jeep or something.
Oh my gosh. In a heartbeat. Get you a little TJ, a little tiny one.
Yeah.
And you can go anywhere with it.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful too. But yeah, so that's, I mean, there's just nothing, you know, there's nothing I can't hike.
That's amazing.
Everything is hikeable from here. I could literally hike to the cliffs from this house. I don't even have to get in the Jeep.
You know, I have one more curious question.
Yeah,
so
sure.
when I go out for a hike, a few hours or whatever, I pack a lot of snacks, chocolate protein shake,
Your kit.
fruit. How about you? Do you just stock up before you eat a big breakfast and nothing but water on your hike, or you pack stuff?
Yeah. So I because I do the sous vide, I can vacuum seal stuff.
Oh.
So right now what I'm doing is I'm doing these little cheese sticks that you get at Walmart and the lunch meat, and you wrap them up, toothpick them, and etc. And then you will vacuum seal them.
Nice.
And I keep them in the freezer, and I just put one out overnight, and I have my meat and cheese, and then I have my snacks, and I have everything I need. Nuts, whatever it may be.
Never had to kill any wildlife or forage for berries?
No. I'm very well fed out there on the trail, no question. And then I carry my water, and it's, you know, as long as you got plenty of water, you're good to go. Nice.
Well, cool. I think we covered about everything.
Yeah, cool.
Did you want to share with the public how they can find you on social media?
No.
You don't want to be found. You don't want to be found.
Oh my gosh! No.
That's why you're out here.
If somebody finds me, I won't be able to hike that.
Right.
So, I stay very.
If your phone's ringing, how do you enjoy nature?
Exactly. So I try to stay very hidden.
Cool.
So that it doesn't interrupt my hiking.
I figured.
Yeah, I don't like to do meetings.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, great. Thanks a lot for being here.
Absolutely.
Hey, everybody. I hope you loved this episode talking with David on my channel, YouTube Utah. If you enjoyed this, would you give it a like, share, and a subscribe? That really helps us out. Thanks a lot. YouTube's recommending you watch this video next, and here's a video that I'm recommending you should watch.